Norwich City are staring League One football straight down the barrel. That may sound familiar. I started my match review in a very similar tone against Bristol City last week. Well, just a few days ago. And I will start this match review, a 1-0 defeat to Derby County, in the exact same way. And at some point, those at Norwich City might start to listen. Those at Norwich City might start to take this as serious as we can all see. This is a team that has spent £55 million in the last 2 seasons and yet cannot muster anything against the Derby County side that we're yet to win at home so far this season. If you are a team looking for 3 points, play Norwich City. I can guarantee you that they will find a way to gift you a win. This is a side with a soft underbelly. This is a side that lacks quality. This is a side that is led by a head coach that has lost his way. And this is a club being run into the ground. And let me set my opinion out pretty straight. And let me set it out near the start of this video. This club needs root and branch change immediately. I have sat down and chatted with Ben Napper, with Zoe Webber, with the Atanasios, and all of them are good people. I believe that. But at this point in Norwich City's history, we cannot afford to continue in the current state that we are in. Ben Napper needs to go. Zoe Webber needs to go. Neil Adams needs to go. Liam Manning needs to go. That isn't fun. That isn't easy to say. But that is my belief in the current situation as we sit here on the 21st of October in the bottom 3 of the Championship, a quarter of the way into this Championship season. Now, do I think any of those things will happen in the next couple of weeks? No. My understanding is that Norwich are content. Maybe not content, but Norwich City are willing to ride this out. They think that injuries are playing a big factor in this and that this tide will turn. Now, let me caveat some of those things that I've just said with what some may believe, and the club certainly believe. The club want sustainability. If you'd have watched my video this morning, that is the current stance from those at the club. They want sustainability in terms of head coach, and they want sustainability in terms of leadership team. Well, that's fine, and I get behind that because I agree. You can't keep chopping and changing your head coach every single season if you want to build a sustainable model. It doesn't work. But what also doesn't work is this. This doesn't work. Ben Napper, a couple of weeks ago, celebrated his 2nd anniversary at Norwich City, and I think we can pretty convincingly say now that his work so far has been a failure. Whether that's head coach recruitment, whether that's player recruitment. He said it himself at the start of this season. If Norwich don't finish top 6 this season, that is a failure. Well, we're not finishing top 6. We will be lucky to be in this division next season. And if things stay the way they are, we definitely won't be in this division next season. And I think that because Norwich have been a fairly dominant force in the Championship over the past 15 years, we lead ourselves into the mindset of Birmingham fans a couple of seasons ago, Luton fans last season, where you go, it's not us. Birmingham, no, they can't go down. Luton, no, we were in the Premier League last season. We can't go down from the Championship. Trust me, you can, and we will if things continue. This squad is completely and utterly devoid of ideas. They are lacking quality in many areas. I do feel sorry for Manning in certain instances. Look, I don't think he's getting a tune out of this team at all, but Yes, he has been hurt by certain injuries. That isn't bad luck. That is a pattern that has followed this club for the last few, and that needs to be looked at. That is one part of a bigger storm, but it is a part. I think the players that he maybe thought that he was getting in the transfer window, in terms of, you know, a Diallo or other players that we signed, haven't quite come to fruition. He also has to take responsibility in terms of player trading. He had a say in the Marcelino Nunes sale, and we said it at the time, and I'll say it again. Yes, the money we got for Marcelino Nunes was good. It was also the same amount of money we spent on Ante Cianats, and look, I was actually really gutted to see him. That was not a nice thing to see this evening. It looked a really nasty knee injury, and him going off in tears, that is not nice to see. But Ante Cianats has been shocking this season. The same with Mata Jurisic, who once again put in a borderline disgraceful performance. So players are an issue, all right? And I think some of them are underperforming. I think some of them just aren't as good as we thought they were. So that's something, but they are more than capable of being above where they are at the moment. So they have to look at themselves, and I get the sense, and Liam Manning has said it himself, that they are not performing to what they can at the moment. So that's one part. Part two is Liam Manning. It's done, right? It's done, and I think he's lost the home fans, he's lost the away fans, and I think he's lost the dressing room at this stage. Liam Manning is done, and however long this lasts, I cannot see a world where it turns. The performances have got worse, they haven't improved, and the style of football is bland at best. I don't really want to pile into Liam Manning anymore. I like him as a human. He's been through a lot. I think he has lost a bit of that spark, and that's only natural, having been through what he has. And look, I've been there with grief. It does affect you, and I'm seeing certain effects. That might be unfair to say, but that's my call, right? Ben Napper, look, the Atanasios like Ben Napper. I get that feeling. I think they want it to work. I worry that naivety and championship ownership might be coming into play here, and I worry that there is too much faith going into someone where it's clearly not working. He has spent a lot of money that Norwich haven't had before. He sacked Johannes Torup. He abandoned project to pivot, and that pivot we said had to work, and it's not working, and it isn't working, and it won't work. So Ben Napper has to go. Zoe Webber has to go. She's not a Norfolk Holdings recruit. Her portfolio of work within Norwich doesn't justify her still being here. We can add Neil Adams to that list. I fear that he is part of a regime and a mindset at Norwich that promotes from within, and actually is in a position where he's not quite cut out for it. So he needs to go. And Norwich need a grown-up board, a CEO, a new sporting director. And look, I would almost start at that point rather than Manning. Like, don't think chopping and changing managers is a good thing. I think Manning needs to go, but I almost think those above him is the more important situation to get right at the moment, because January could prove critical, and you can't have Ben Napper going to war in January. I'm not having it. Like, I don't think that is the roadmap that Norwich need to go down. And I hope that Mark Atanasio and Richard Ressler and the rest of Norfolk Holdings Group and Mike Atanasio, who is the kind of ears on the ground, sees this. Sees the incredibly damning situation that this football club sits in. Hand on heart, can say that in the last, I started going to Norwich games in 2004. Premier League under Worthy, and even in my lifetime, I've watched the football club that I support play in League One. But even in that 2008-2009 Championship relegation season, I can't recall it being this bad in terms of underperformance, in terms of spending £55 million to come up with this squad where Liam Gibbs, Tony Springett, players like this are within touching distance all in the starting 11. And this isn't me having a pop at Liam Gibbs, but he was never the plan. And yet, that is the reality. I can't say anything more. And we have a platform here on TNC, and I hope that we use it in the correct way. And I think we do. I think this isn't easy and this isn't fun. And I take absolutely zero joy in this. I am a fan of Norwich City, who has somehow stumbled in a position where people sometimes listen, right? And we've had joyful times on TNC and really bleak times on TNC following Norwich. That is the very nature of being a football fan. All I can speak is my mind and try and take a somewhat educated stance on things. And we are going to definitely be off the Christmas card list this year. And I suspect this is doing us absolutely zero favours in terms of access and any kind of joy with the club. But this is painful to watch. This is painful to see an establishment, a football club, unravel to the extent in which Norwich City are right now. Not only from a performance level on the pitch, but from a leadership level, from a lack of self-awareness, a lack of taking fans on a journey. This should be a really opportunistic kind of moment for Norwich, where we have money and we have the ability to do things that we haven't been able to before, and yet we have got it so catastrophically wrong. And I can't see this go on anymore. I need to see some form of change, or at least if they're not wanting to change, to hear something. Maybe there are justified reasons as to why we're not getting rid of Napa and we're not getting rid of Manning. And if there are, then let's hear it and we can take a view on that. But to go, it's business as usual, I'm astounded, absolutely astounded by some of the lines coming out of the club at the moment. I genuinely believe that there is unanimous support for Manning and Napa. And I don't see how. I don't see how a club that relies on data, that sees data as the kind of point to move forwards, I don't see what they're looking at. I don't see any justification for those decisions, for that mindset. Maybe I'm missing something, and maybe this will turn around, but I can't see it. Derby have won for the first time at home this season against Norwich City, 1-0. Norwich sit in the relegation zone. They travel to Swansea at the weekend, and I fully expect Liam Manning and Ben Napa and Zoe Webber and the rest to be involved. We'll see how we get on Saturday. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.